Once again, it's your friend. I want to welcome you to What They Do. What They Do. What They Do. What They Do.
Curry chicken.
What They Do.
You heard that?
You know what they do. What They Do is a place where we say what they do. You know, it's a Miami slang meaning what's up, what's popping. So we say what they do. Today is another week with another guest. Man, he wears so many hats. I don't know what to even call him. So let's just introduce him as Asa P Sealy. Yo, Asa, what they do?
I'm alive, bro.
You're alive?
Blessed to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, well, thanks for coming. You know, we've had a couple of interruptions here trying to get this podcast started, but I think we have it down now. Asa, what to call you, bro? Like, what's the title that best describes Asa Sealy?
What title best describes Asa Sealy? Entrepreneur, father, somebody that's found their purpose, over the last few years. And I'm just blessed to be here today. So many of us are not here to celebrate life. And I don't take that for granted anymore.
Yeah.
So give thanks.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. There's so many people not here today. People that we both know, people that are close to you, people that are close to me. And so what you said there, I think, resonates with a lot of people. It's important to live your life, you know. Asa, I've known you for a very long time, and what I do know is you're a guy of many talents, right? You've created an agency, IFOS.
Yeah.
Agency. You have you've done marketing for Carib. Man, the list goes on. You have a management company. What drives you? You actually are just launched a podcast, the Strpd Club,
yes.
right? I think that's important to talk about. But yeah, what drives you to have your feet in so many different places where culture resides?
Well, I think culture is my language. And I found that really quickly. I found that out really quickly when I came to the US and interacting with non-Caribbean people and their interest in me and my background, what I celebrated, and that was so foreign to them that I took to it, you know, and back in the day in college, I used to throw parties back in FIU. Started off with a company. My company was called Visions Entertainment.
Visions, I do remember.
Right, and we used to do big parties. I did a lot of parties with my boy Fireheart. He was Vibes Entertainment and Visions and Vibes. Used to do events. I did fantasy, and back then he did Bear Hype. And we were just two kids in college, you know, bringing culture to the forefront, and got a chance to work with a lot of the top DJs now when they were coming up, you know, from DJ Irie, Khaled, Richie D, these guys, Peter T, hardcore movements from down south. You know, those are all guys
Pablo
that,
P.
you know, we all came up with.
Yeah.
Papa Keith, you know. Papa Keith, I remember I used to DJ as well in an event in Town and Country. I think it was Cafe Iguanas. They had a reggae event and I was DJing and Papa Keith was micing. And there was this one song that I had to pull up. It was the Dawn Pen.
I didn't know that you DJ'd anything.
Yeah, man. I had a whole DJ show in FIU. I was DJ Dread Eye.
Yo, no way.
Yeah, man. I had dubs and everything. But back then it was Elephant Man and Cecile, and those guys. Like I was used to work with Joey Buttafuoco back then, and he gave me a lot of opportunities. So big up Joey,
Yeah.
you know, and the whole Madhouse family,
Yeah.
you know, Marlon, rest in peace. But Trini South Boys, Joey, they were all instrumental in being part of my why, you know, being part of, you know, driving me to emulate a lot of those guys who I saw as successful and that looked like me and that came from a place that I came from. Me as a youth coming and seeing the access that they had and the respect that they had on the streets. I'm like, why can't I have that?
Yeah.
You know,
Intriguing.
so just started to leverage those relationships into, you know, creating a real agency. Because when I did events back in the day, everyone looks for sponsors. Back then, it wasn't a big business as it is today, business development, you know, or maybe it was. I was just too young to realize it. And going after sponsors for my events, I was getting some traction. But one of the biggest challenges for these corporate partners is that they had no one on the ground to execute what they wanted to do. And so I started to take on that responsibility. I'm like, okay, well, if you sponsor my event, I'll handle everything for you. I'll book your models, I'll set up your booth, I'll give you a report at the end, and brought a structure.
Yeah.
And then a peace of mind for them too, because they were all based in the Caribbean, trying to reach a diaspora community in the US. And that's when I landed, I think, one of my biggest and longest, to this day, best clients, Caribbean Airlines.
Mad.
Right? And as a youth, you know, you don't think you would ever fall into that space where a company that big, with that much reach, will look to you and say, hey, handle my stuff in the US for me. And, you know, manage their executions from New York to Florida. So I'm pretty proud about that accomplishment, which led me to my contract with Carib. You know, they had just come up here.
But before we get to Carib, right? IFOS, named after your daughter, was after Visions.
That was after Visions was a college
Thing.
flex, right? That was my entertainment company. But I first came when I had to, I felt that I needed a corporate kind of something to deal with these agencies, right?
Okay.
I was veering away from being considered a promoter because, you know, where we were promoters, which were a dime, it became a dime a dozen. Like, you know, you went outside and then everybody was a promoter. Everyone
But
was
is
doing
everybody
events.
a promoter though? Like,
Well, back in the day, everyone was throwing parties.
yeah.
You know, you had your and some of them are still doing it and doing it really well. You know, I came up around the time with Fireheart. He used to do Vibes Entertainment, and he did Bear Hype. You had JB Young and his party stages. You had Hans. He used to do his events.
Yeah.
I mentioned Joey and his Madhouse brand. And these guys were out there hustling. I remember we were handing out flyers outside of parties. It was all of us, you know.
I'm glad you talked about this flyers things because I think when we had Cindy on, I can't remember if it was Cindy, but we talked about, or maybe it was Clem, but we talked about not really seeing the flyers again,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I think of it as maybe a lack of drive, right? A lack of really wanting to do this work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so like when I think of you and I think of you in your prime or maybe right before the prime, establishing yourself, what separated you from maybe somebody else is this drive, this need to get it done.
Correct.
Right? And part of that is running a flyer.
Yeah.
You know? And today I think people are relying heavily on social media, but then you see like maybe some of the dances are lackluster,
Yeah.
right? Is that a good observation, or do you think that it's a different time and that's not it's not a relevant way of looking? Maybe that's not the right word. It's not an appropriate way of looking at the dynamic.
I think you're onto something, but it might be a hybrid of both, right? I don't ever think that grassroots type of marketing is going to go away. How people respond to it today I think it's a lot different to how people responded to it back in 99, 2000 when we were coming up, right? I don't want to date myself, but back in those times, like if you weren't out at every party handing a flyer, chances are you weren't going to have 500, 600, 700 people at your event. And to me, 300 people at an event was a fail, right? I looked at that as like, man, like, yo, we need to print more flyers, right? We needed to be at more events. Because I remember one event we were printing 50, 60,000 flyers back then to get 500, 600 people, you know, because you always went on a ratio, about 10% of the flyers that went out were the number of people that were going to come to the event. And then again, you had people helping you hand out the flyers that some of them weren't really handing out the flyers. They were taking the flyers and dumping it. So you had to be out there on the streets. I remember going from party to party to party to party, handing out flyers and also checking up on the street teams that were out there handing out flyers to make sure that, hey, you're handing out my flyers. But today's party goer has become so accustomed to just receiving information digitally that most of the success I've seen comes from people that have been able to amass a database and stay engaged with their community. And that community has a certain loyalty to that brand because the expectation when they go to that producer's event trumps any paper flyer that they can receive. Now, if that producer is looking to expand their database, definitely, I would not leave out flyers. You know, it's non-conventional in this day and age, but I think grassroots marketing is something that you can't sleep on. Like, it's still effective.
Yeah, and I think that it's so effective that, like, Walsh put out a book with just pictures of flyers going back through Jamaican history.
Yeah.
Right? And
shout out to Walsh
yeah,
and the book Wicked.
Right? And I actually have a copy of the book.
I should have brought mine too.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the book. You know, but I think it's integral. It's what's the word? Intricate?
Integral.
The mosquitoes are biting me, and I think that's why I couldn't get it.
Yeah, that's why.
Integral. I think it's integral, right?
Integral.
What?
Integral.
Integral.
Yeah, but spell it too.
I think it's necessary. Right? I think it's necessary. And because the parties with a brand, dances with a brand, yeah, they can just promote on these social media spaces and their people will come. But those who are smaller, who think that I just need to post on social media,
nah, it's not
you're gonna
work.
suffer.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. And then you're not because you have a following on social media or followers on social media, because followers and following to me is two different worlds, right? Not because you have followers on social media means that you're influential, right? And people are going to go where you tell them to go. And we see that with the influencer community now, you know, from artists that have had millions of followers drop a song or drop an album and have horrible first weekend sales. You know, it goes to show that not just because you have tons of followers means that you're influential. So you can't expect as a producer, because you have a following or followers, to just put your stuff out online up with some skits. Even though the creativity does, you know, create some engagement when they put out these funny skits about the event and stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to come to your event, especially when you have options. And a lot of people like to stay home too. You know, house parties are a thing. People like to relax in their house, especially if they don't know. Yeah.
House parties are a thing?
Of course, man. For the older crowd.
Oh, that wouldn't be me.
Nah, that would be me.
It's I met you. You used to promote a party in Coconut Grove.
Yes, sir. I started that Tuesday night,
on a
bro.
Tuesday night.
I started that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ram.
Every Tuesday. Longest running Tuesday night event in the history.
Yeah. What was the name of that dance?
Tantalizing Tuesdays.
Tantalizing Tuesday.
Worst name ever.
Yeah, why?
It's-
Why?
Why the worst name?
Yeah.
I didn't like it. But that event was such a second thought. You know, it was just like an afterthought for us. You know, I used to go to Monday nights at Oxygen. That was the party.
Oxygen.
Right? Oxygen Lounge on a Monday night. That's where Pitbull got his break. He used to be in that club every Monday night partying, you know. Shout out Pit, shout out Teach. Those are the guys that were in there all the time. Vertigo, DJ Vertigo. He DJed with me at FIU radio station. They used to DJ on Monday nights, but it was a predominantly Latin night. Latin, but hip hop. Sexiest girls in Miami were found on a Monday night at Oxygen Lounge,
Oxygen,
right?
yeah.
And I would frequent, you know, the event.
Yeah.
And then I got really close with the owner. One of the owners, Angel Sanchez, and you know, I remember Vertigo at that time. We were close, and he had a manager, Vic, and Vic went to Angel, and Angel went to Vic and was like, "Hey, let's do another night." And he's like, "Man, I have the perfect guy for you." And Vic brought me to Angel. And Angel was like, "I want to build a night." So we assembled from that first conversation a core group of promoters that brought in a diversity of people. Now, that's when I learned about promotion through Angel Sanchez, right? I learned about building promotional teams. I learned about working with other promoters, with a club, because it was a different structure to where I was coming from, because I was putting out my own money. I was funding my own events. And here it was, this club paying for everything, and just said, "Yo, all I need you to do is bring 20 people before 12 o'clock. And I'm like, eyes closed.
Easy work.
And I'm getting paid? Yeah, you're getting paid. How much am I getting paid? I think back then was $200-300. 20 people before. And that was just the minimum. And I'm like, so they had nights on a Tuesday night, I'm walking away with $1,500, $2,000. You're doing that every Tuesday. You, as a college student back then,
You're winning.
You couldn't ask for anything else, and you're not risking any of your money. And it got to a point where this guy really trusted us. I will shout out some of the promoters that came on board quite early. I mean, from the first or second night, Brock. Brock was integral for the Haitian community and the Black fraternity community. We used to run FIU North Campus and did all of the events. So Brock was integral in making that night a success. LA Smooth was on Power 96. He had his love hour at the end, LA Smooth, you know. LA was integral back then and still is very relevant. Epps was a huge DJ coming up back then, and he had his manager, 210 Jack. And Jack played a role in starting that night. So I believe it was Brock, 210 Jack, myself, LA Smooth was the core that really started that event. And then as we grew, we started to bring on other. That's how I met Justin, Cool Blaze. They had just moved back down from Orlando. They had a t-shirt line. I remember every other week, a promoter used to kind of lead the theme. So like I would have my own week where I would say, "Angel, I want to bring Elephant Man." And then Jack would be like, his week, he would want to bring some other artists. And then LA Smooth was the bikini fashion show guy. So every time LA had a night, he would bring in bikini fashion show girls. And it would be Lila Nicole was always there on a Tuesday night showcasing her designs. I met Vida Guerra. All of these big model chicks that were in all of these music videos, they were there.
Yeah.
You know, so we had a great run on Tuesday night, Tantalizing Tuesdays. But that was just an afterthought. That name was just like, they're like, "Oh,
name it
Angel,
something."
call it Tantalizing Tuesdays." And he's like, "Oh, all right, cool."
So I think one of my first performances back in Miami was at that Tuesday night. And I think that, damn, I can't remember. I think Giselle hosted that night.
Yeah.
right? And so it
That's
was
where I met Walsh.
killer.
Because we brought Black Shiny. We brought Black Shiny in for a night. And I met Walsh in the back. And I remember the first thing Walsh told me is like, Asa, I heard a lot about you. I heard a lot of good things about you, and I don't hear a lot of good things about promoters. And ever since then, Walsh and I have had a great relationship. You know, one thing about me is that I I made sure, especially on that Tuesday night, that before you DJ'd or performed, you got that envelope. It was not after payment thing. I used to make sure and go in the back, talk to the club
Why
and
is
say,
this
hey,
envelope thing a talking point, right? It's either you're getting the envelope or you're not getting the envelope, and it seems that more times than not you're not getting the envelope. At least
well,
you're not getting the envelope at that moment.
well, I don't know who you, well, when you're working for me, I
Yeah.
mean, you're going to get your envelope. Like, and that's some, I don't like people to devalue my contribution.
Yeah.
If we agree on a price, you know that you're going to end up getting that. And you know, I've made it a point through my career to not have to owe anybody any money. You know, even if my event fails, and I've had a lot of failed events, I've had to eat it. So I don't think anybody could come out of pocket and say he still owe me money. You know, early in the career, I made sure, especially working with the club, that those guys, they came there, Black China, yeah, hold that. And I feel that there's a sense of peace when they go on to play. They get paid, they bring out the best, you know. Stevie J got his break there. Big DJ now for headliner markets. I managed TV's first 2 years.
Okay.
Because I ended up doing nights with my gardener. We did Nocturnal downtown Miami next to Space on a Saturday night. I did the rooftop, the reggae rooftop. That's when we used to work closely with Cell Construction.
I was just gonna say that you didn't mention cell construction.
Yeah, Kwesi was integral in everything. Kwesi is one of the inspirations that I had personally. Kwesi really brought a sense of kind of like levelness.
We're talking about Quasi Chris cell construction.
Yeah, like Kwesi brought a sense of levelness to my life. Because Kwesi has a very relaxed way of approaching stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And I was always like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
You understand? Like,
Quasi said to me, "Oh, Sizwe, you need to meet this guy. I need to introduce you to this guy." Right? And I was like, all right, this is where I come back. This is 2005 or 2006. After I've come back from doing what I was doing. I wouldn't say what transpired in the vehicle. It was like kind of a mafia type of situation. You know, I was a little bit intimidated, but I was told that I had to get into this. I think it was like a white Suburban. What was it?
Navigator.
A white Navigator.
Damn.
Yeah, I had to jump in this white Navigator and to have this meeting with this guy because this is the guy, right? And that guy turned out to be you, and we've been tight ever since. So I appreciate that meeting because it kind of let me know that I wasn't in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And there was, if I wanted to do anything, I really had to work.
Yeah.
And you kind of made that clear to me, right? That it wasn't nothing was gonna be free here. And you have to prove yourself. You know? So
Kwesi, yo, big up Kwesi.
yeah, big up to Quasi, Chris,
Yeah.
and Chet.
And Chet.
Yeah,
Chet Swayo.
Swayo.
Chet Swayo. Kwesi, big up.
Yeah. You know, Asa, do we go from here to Carib or do we go from here to Miami Carnival?
Well, I think Carib is a journey because I've been in and out of Carib.
Okay.
Right? 3 times.
Okay.
The last time was my last time.
Okay.
Right?
The last time was your last time.
Yeah, the last time was my last time because I've always said the last time was my last time, but this time it was my last time. No bad blood with Carib, but at the end of the day, it was a time that I learned a lot. I learned a lot about corporate. I learned a lot about how that functions because I'm not really I'm gonna work for somebody kind of guy, and it was because of my relationships with the executives at Carib that put me in a position where I left. Well, I didn't leave. I put on pause the agency work to go to do something a little bit more consistent and structured. Like I wasn't chasing money. I wasn't chasing people to pay bills and stuff like that. First time was when I was having my daughter. I was approached and said, hey, we really need to put emphasis on Carib in this market. They had just got into the market. Then I had the contract. Eugene Rice had given me the contract to handle all of their promotional stuff. So I was doing all of the activations in the community, all of their retail samplings. And he gave me that opportunity. And then soon after, Anthony Sabga, chairman of the board now, he came up and he hired this guy called James Webb.
Okay.
And James and I really hit it off. And James said, hey, I need you. And we ran Carib from New York to Florida every week, up and down, for 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, I told him, I was like, I can't do this again. I miss that entrepreneur life. And I remember leaving there and he telling me, Asa, you have a young child. Like Sophia was 2 years old at that time. And I'm like, my happiness is worth more than that paycheck. And what was a blessing for me back then is that they allowed me to still maintain the promotional aspect of their business as I was doing prior. But then I went back to doing my Caribbean Airlines stuff, Barbados tourism, and working in this multicultural space that really gave me life, and I could be the best person I could be for my daughter.
We talked about being involved in different aspects of business, but culturally, right? Or having a cultural impact. And working for Carib, I find, because although Carib seems to, depend on who you talk to, is a stag man, Carib, right? Carib is for this and stag is for these guys, or whatever, right? But Carib, right? Carib, I don't know if I shouldn't have said that.
No, man, that's what it is. But
Carib to me, if you just go back,
right,
if you just look at any video, right, where I don't know, it's Kaiso or Calypso,
Carib is there,
or Soca, Super Blue, or whatever. Carib is everywhere, right? And working for such a staple. What was that? Did that have an impact on you?
That definitely had an impact on me. I understood how budgets worked. I understand the
but I mean culturally, not
importance of investing in culture. Because Carib, if you look at Carib in the United States versus Carib in the Caribbean, in Trinidad, right? Budgets are polar opposites, right? And but yet still they are still vested in making Carib part of as much as they can in the US from a cultural perspective. Carnival for Carib in the US does not bring or generate any kind of significant revenue for the brand, right? Where you would think it would.
Carib in the US.
Carib in the US. Whereas Carib, when it comes to Carnival in Trinidad, the same people that are up here in Carnival are drinking Miller Lite and Coors Light during Miami Carnival, during Labor Day Parade. They're not drinking the Carib. I don't know, and this is a internal conversation that we would always have about the national that has migrated and being more aspirational, if that has anything to do with their beverage choice when they're out. Because Carib, they have so many variants in Trinidad now that you go to a bar and Carib is kind of like on the lower end of the option when it comes to your selections that you have Carib Blue, you have Pilsner, you have all the different variants. And Carib is not the premium product, yet still the brand itself is very prominent. When you come to the US, you don't have those options. And I feel that the national over here has gravitated more to things or brands that they can't get home. They're up here and they want to feel American. They want to feel that they're not in Trinidad again. and they could listen to soca and drink a Miller Lite or a Coors Light and be okay. And that's been Carib's biggest struggle over here. Also, the expectation that they should spend as they spend in Trinidad. So you get a lot of fight back from promoters when they reach out, and I know all of them. So they have that open conversation with me, like, "Hey, sponsor my event," and well, I want to keep my job. So there's an evaluation that has to be done on a return. If I give you $5,000 and I'm making $3 to $4 on a case, how many cases do you need to sell for me to even break even? And that there's nowhere close. So you come ask me for $5,000, but you want 10 cases of beer. It just does not equate to proper business practice, you know? So you put yourself in a position where you have to focus on what drives sales in order to be able to support the cultural activities. And what drives sales in the US is sampling in retail stores that people can actually purchase the products. And that's where Carib has really focused their efforts, you know. So in Total Wine, in the ABCs, in the restaurants, making sure that activity and activations happen there at
And
point of
present,
sale.
yeah.
You know, versus really getting to a point where we can go out and be a Carib Trinidad and support carnivals and have banners and stuff like that. Because, I mean, Miami Carnival, take Miami Carnival, for instance. You look at Miami Carnival and their movement of product, and you talk about less than 100 cases of beer over a weekend of over 100 events.
Wow.
That in itself is
Problematic.
disappointing
Yeah.
for a brand that is so synonymous with Carnival.
Yeah, and culture.
It's and then they don't understand why you ain't supported my event, but it's not making sense business wise. You know, so you know, and then they could go and buy Corona at Costco, and what Corona they don't sell, they return. You can't do that with Carib.
Yeah.
Yeah, they eat it.
Yeah.
So I have promoters, must be still sitting down with Carib from Carnival last year that had a relationship with me, that brought in product, that didn't move the product, and stuck with it until you might be drinking some old Carib this year Carnival.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, my Carib always
Fresh.
fresh.
Always.
Right? So you dabbled in Carib, right? You did some marketing for Carib.
Yeah.
And through your marketing with Carib, I got an opportunity
Yes.
to represent Carib
Yes.
as an brand ambassador.
All right.
And this was through COVID and then a little bit after that,
Yeah.
right? Which was an amazing experience for me to be a brand ambassador for Carib. I mean, it was an honor and a privilege, I think, and Carib owes me nothing. You went from that and developed A+ management,
Yes.
right? Why was A+ management significant or important, right? And I guess I'm leading to your community, your connects with artists and seeing a need for this resource.
Yeah. Well, again, coming from corporate and dealing with artists, I realized that a lot of them didn't have management support or some voice in their life guiding them on the business aspect outside of their creative space. They have a lot of artists that are really talented, very creative, but are lacking that business perspective or that acumen necessary to take them to that next level. And again, I'm trying to be that support, be it for an artist, be it for an event, be it for an event producer, be it for a brand, that brings success. And it's about my Caribbean product, the brand Caribbean, being recognized not within the diaspora, but on a global scale, on that global stage where they're respected, they're paid what they're worth. And because I find too many times you get amongst your people and you get shorted.
Yeah.
And so my focus has never really been to promote Caribbean to the Caribbean. Like I am about promoting the Caribbean outside of the Caribbean.
Facts.
right? So that's where the money is.
Yeah.
You know, they will quicker pay a pan man $1,000 to come and play for 2 hours outside of a diaspora event, whereas the diaspora event wanted to come and play for free or go
Go
out
out
with
by-
just, you know, it
Come and do a little
is,
thing.
you understand?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can use this to create content, to sell
opportunity.
yourself. Like, and I have never really been an advocate for that approach, right? So, and then again, my access to groups and organizations. I sat on the board for Rhythm Foundation, which is a world music producing organization that was part of was recipient of the Knight Foundation grant. Still runs in North Beach, Miami Beach Band Shell. Has done Big Night in Little Haiti at the Little Haiti Cultural Center. Has brought Yvette Sangalo to Bayside, Manu Chao to Bayside. They have introduced me to world acts that I would have never experienced had I just sat around and been dealing in the soca space.
Of course.
So having that appreciation and seeing how those managers interact, what they were able to negotiate from brands like Baptist Medical Health, and seeing the relationships, how they grow, I'm like, why can't I take that knowledge and then assist my Caribbean acts in positioning themselves for success on the global stage, you know? And that's where I kind of like followed your journey from back in 2006, right? I believe it was, I didn't have A+ management then, but I've always had an ear for music. And your music wasn't as it was today back then. But you have always had a raw and genuine passion for what you did. And nobody could tell you your music was shit,
No.
right?
Except for
including
one person.
including me,
Yeah. No, definitely not you.
right? I mean, and
Even if it was shit.
and even if it was shit,
Yeah.
and
Which
and
it wasn't.
some of it was, and I remember having conversations with people about Sizwe.
Yeah.
You know, but Sizwe say, boy, you're in support, but his music I can't.
Yeah.
You know, I think Kwesi was one of them. I would have those conversations, and I'm sure those conversations came back to you. But I cared about you versus people that are around you just blowing smoke up up you because they just want to be around or they didn't want you to cause any friction. And I used to always keep it 100. And that first opportunity you got, and getting a chance to work with close friend Ricardo Drew.
Absolutely.
May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Ricardo
right?
Drew.
I was around when Ricardo was crossover.
Yeah. CROSSOVAH.
Right? We were there when Ricardo, Cupid, and the rest of those guys, I think it was 4 or 5 of them, lived in Orlando.
Yeah.
They were really serious about this music thing. Back then, I used to work with another inspiration of mine, Brad Taffer Hemmings. Taffer had this company, CaribbeanEntertainment.com, and he did all of these international bookings for acts. We shared the same office, worked on Miami Carnival together, doing the bookings for Miami Carnival. And I think it was Brad that convinced Ricardo to move down to Miami, and where we did their website, did their whole brand development, and position them for success. And then Ricardo really got to a point where he was just like, you know what? I want to do this thing serious.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved back to Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all of those experiences with these artists that gave me the drive to want to help more. And take a lot of what I was exposed to outside of the diaspora and bring it back to the people that I saw potential with and said, hey, let me help you. And that's when A+ was born. I've had I've been working with the management team with Kevin Little for the last, 10 years.
Yeah.
I just got back end of last year from Morocco with Kevin, which was a life-changing experience for me. Big up Kevin. Kevin has become a dear friend, more like family. Kevin, his wife, his son. They are people that I can sound ideas off of, and vice versa. And Kevin has also been an instrumental educational piece in teaching me how this music business works. Because Kevin's been burnt, right? And Kevin's learned the hard way. And he's taken the long route. But he has come full circle and has the ability to now assist others. Mm-hmm. He might not be heavy in the music again because he's more in the tech development side with his apps and his other businesses. But Kevin has a natural love for music.
Yeah.
And with our studio in Southwest Miami, it's set up just for that, to help artists, give them a world-class sound to get out there.
Yeah.
So that's A plus management. So
Kevin, you've done some work with Kerwin Dubois.
Kerwin, big up Kerwin.
Yeah.
Work with Ricardo, as I mentioned. Yourself.
Yeah.
Sizwe, one of the biggest acts on the roster. And then you have people that are from the island but don't necessarily sing soca or
Roger.
Casely. Right? Now Casely is a triple threat, right?
Yeah.
Casely is an actor, a singer, a dancer. He is like Omarion, B2K, mixed
all in
with
one.
Marshall, mixed with everything.
Trini.
But at Trini, mix Hispanic, he talking Spanish.
Yeah.
He on the stage with Marshall.
Yeah.
Casely is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me because Casey has been on HBO shows, series, Nickelodeon. And again, getting him to another level has always been a passion for me, So that's A plus management.
Did we tell the guests to silence their phone?
That is Siri.
We did? Okay.
Siri had to contribute. Siri wanted to get into this.
We jumped to A plus, but I don't think we touched Miami Carnival and your involvement in Miami Carnival as well, right? Who did we have last? 16. Hello. We're doing a show here. I just talked about Miami Carnival. Asa 16. Did he sip his tea? He did. I had Barry, and Barry talked about, are you okay? Something is in your teeth?
That's that good fisher. Yes.
I had Barry, and Barry spoke about how important Miami Carnival is from an artist perspective, right? From a music perspective. In the United States diaspora, as it relates to Carnival, right? Miami Carnival is one of the top tier carnivals in North America. Can I say that to be a fact? Is it the carnival?
What are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to other carnivals in North America?
Yeah.
I think Miami Carnival, and this is coming from someone who has been part of Miami Carnival from 2004, right?
On the board.
And part of on the board. And I think Miami Carnival has grown over the years. I want to mention, if you mention Miami Carnival, there are certain individuals that you have to pay homage to, right? And somebody who has been, I guess, another influential person in my life. I hadn't had a chance to work with everyone, but Selman Lewis, right? May he rest in peace. Selman really showed me the ins and outs about how to produce that festival. It is unfortunate that Selman isn't here today because I feel, and even going through the 10 plus years that he's no longer here, seeing how the carnival has evolved, my opinion, feel that we have taken a few steps backward, right? In terms of the vision that was had for the event and the evolution of it, right? So when you talk about Carnival being one of the best in the US, I don't like to compare it
Best in North America.
in North America. I don't like to compare it to anything else, right? Miami has things going for them based on the climate, the time of the year, the fact that everybody likes to come to Miami, period. That kind of lends to the success of the event.
Okay.
Without the producers having to really do much. And for me, someone who is looking to evolve every year and incorporate technology and experience as other major festivals do into the production, I think we missed the mark, right? I think there's a lot more that can be done to Miami Carnival to make it a lot more of an immersive experience. I think there's a lot more to be done to make it a lot more of an inclusive experience. One of the opportunities that we have being Miami Carnival is the fact that we share a space with so many other cultures and communities outside of the English or French speaking Caribbean nations that participate, Haiti, Martinique, that we're not inclusive, right? Brazil has a carnival, huge community in Miami. All of the Spanish, South America, all of them, they have communities in Miami that do not participate. Now, one would argue with me and say, the Asa, they don't include us in when they're doing their stuff. And again, I feel that is a real kind of like, I'd not seen past my nose type of way of looking at things, right? I want to be the bigger person and I want to grow my culture.
But isn't their carnival fundamentally different? Like it's just
But
a different
regardless,
thing.
that's Miami Carnival is different too. Not because you have a group of Caribbean people in a space and everybody could put on a costume means it's a carnival. And I will fight you down I will fight down the word carnival being used in Miami Carnival. Right? Because we compare, when you hear carnival, you automatically go to the mecca of carnival, Trinidad Carnival. And there's no comparison. So that's why coming back to what I asked you, what are you comparing Miami Carnival to? Are you comparing Miami Carnival to these other North American festivals that are nothing or pieces of Trinidad Carnival because of the constraints that they're dealing with, because of the cultural sensitivity that's not present in the government, in the leadership?
Yeah, but the
that allows
expectation
this
of
to
a
happen?
comparison, the expectation of any type of comparison between Miami Carnival, Labor Day, Caribana, I guess it's called Toronto Carnival now, right? To Trinidad, I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. But in respect to the norms that we have to deal with here locally, outside of the Trinidadian diaspora, Miami Carnival is significant.
I'm not disputing it's not significant.
Yeah.
But you're asking me to compare it to other carnivals that I can't compare it to, because then I'm going to stay where I'm at, because I have a better product than the other carnivals out there, if you consider them carnivals. But if I am looking at elevating Miami Carnival and I'm comparing it to Trinidad Carnival, we're way short.
So what carnival can we compare to Trinidad Carnival?
There's no carnival outside of Trinidad Carnival in North America. It doesn't exist. The constraints that you have on the festival, production-wise, that leads into the experience for the masquerader or the attendee, it's not carnival.
What is it? A festival?
It's a festival. It is what it is. And Miami Carnival is, I would say, one of the best festivals, cultural parades, and Caribbean concerts in a park in North America.
Wow. You said a lot.
Hands down. You cannot touch us where that's concerned.
But
You
it's a
throw
festival.
carnival in there,
It's a festival.
it's a festival. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right? There's nothing wrong with calling it what it is. And it you again, I could get fight down, I could get fight down on it. But again, it's my opinion,
Yeah.
right? It's coming from a lot of experience, not just dealing with carnival, but working with other major festivals and seeing how they market. You have people, you're trying to grow a brand, right? And you have people across the US, California, DC, New York, non-diaspora communities that travel across the world to visit carnivals or to visit festivals for it being a festival.
Mm-hmm.
Carnival in the US is merry-go-round, Ferris wheel, clowns, games.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole educational component that you need to sell if you're looking to expand outside their community. Because they don't give them respect.
It's a... Sometimes you sound like Miami Carnival is a awkward space for you, right? Like you're torn, it seems, right? Because you're calling it a festival and it's not really a carnival, and you know. And I'm trying to say, but this is not Trinidad, right? And
Facts.
it would be unfair to compare it to Trinidad, but when we talking about climate, when we talking about music, when we talking about vibe and the energy, I think it's the closest thing outside of Trinidad Carnival to where like you're getting a feeling of carnival, even if it's in a park, even if it's some of the complaint, like when Daddy chaired the committee and it was
Big
on
up Frank
Biscayne.
Collins.
Frank Collins.
Big up Frank Collins.
And it was on Biscayne and we was on the road, right? It was a carnival then, wasn't it?
I think it was the closest that you were getting to it being considered a carnival then. But and since then, again, it comes back to your comparison, you know, and I will fight you on the fact that you are comparing something, telling me that it at least has some elements of Trinidad and is the closest you could get. So because it's the closest you could get to something, you are happy with that, calling it carnival. And all my argument is that it is not carnival. And you have people that travel here that tell you this ain't carnival. You have people that come to Miami Carnival for the first time and go to Trinidad Carnival after and be like, yo, what we entered into in Miami, that wasn't carnival. This is carnival. And I think using the word carnival, it gives the actual brand carnival from Trinidad, it does it a disservice, right? Now, don't get me wrong, right? I enjoy Miami Carnival. I enjoy the diaspora that it brings together, all of the events that make up the week. We have over 100 events during this week-long celebration. I enjoy the fact that we can have somewhat of a pan presence, which is an integral part in the carnival calendar. Have that on a day. I love the fact that there's inclusion in terms of some sort of succession introduction, including the kids in a junior carnival celebration, so that the second and third generation nationals, the kids get an opportunity to sample a little piece of their culture. I love that there's a Juve element to it. But again, comes back to my point of the actual word carnival being used. I am just, I'm at odds with it, and I can't be. But I'm just one person on a board of 20, right? So obviously, 19 other people don't agree with me, right? But they're not here on the podcast talking to you.
Sure.
So I might get some heat for this, but it is what it is.
I appreciate your honesty, you know what I'm saying? And I think that you have a unique perspective as a member of the Carnival Committee, right? Before we move on, what do you think that needs to change in Miami Carnival in order to say, all right, yeah, this is comparable? And we'll be right back.
I think I need some more tequila. They have a lot of things that need to change, man.
Okay.
And I want to be honest with you, just out of respect for your show, respect for your audience, but there's something in me that is holding me back from speaking my truth. And what needs to change? I'll start with the producers, right? There's a sense of complacency that comes with doing the same thing every single year. Don't change where the tents go. Don't change where the stage is. Don't change how you market the event. Don't include new bands. And that stifles the growth. That prevents us from evolving into how Trinidad Carnival has evolved, how Jamaica Carnival has evolved, how Crop Over has evolved. You know, taking these chances on different experiences. And that is something that has been very difficult to achieve over the years, right? They have a lot of young event producers that have come into this space and have managed to capture crowds, not just from the diaspora, but outside of the diaspora, that come and they get a taste of what Carnival is. Maybe not with the costumes, but definitely with the performances and the vibe that you spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the expectation when you come to Carnival Sunday and the parade, there's a lot more than we can do, right? And all of us need to take ownership in that. You know, from the preparation of the acts that go onto main stage to perform at the concert, to the bands being able to start on time and band leaders showing up when they're supposed to show up and pulling off when they're supposed to pull off. Having a respect for the business side of Carnival and that masquerader that has invested in their costume and that experience, to the producers that are responsible for the in the park experience.
Every year, sorry to cut you, every year we see these posts about masqueraders not getting a return on their investment, right? Costumes not being produced properly, not being able to receive their costumes, and that being some point of contention, right? Is that part of the problem too?
That is part of the problem because, Carnival is not just the producers of the actual event, it's all of the different stakeholders that are involved. And the band leaders and the band leaders association play an integral part in that overall experience. So when a masquerader comes and has a negative experience receiving their costumes or on the road, they're not going to go and say this band alone, like Miami Carnival
Was
is
shit.
also mentioned.
Miami Carnival
Right?
was shit.
Exactly. And so we all have a responsibility to work closely together. The biggest challenge for us as a group is like we can't work together. There is something that prevents us as Caribbean people for some reason to coming together and working together without feeling the next one trying to pull wool over my eye, or he have some back deal going on, or like there's always something going on in the background that prevents this fluidity to happen, which is needed for the overall success. I got inside, you guys got the bands, let's make this happen. Not let's just make it happen, let's make it magical. Because Carnival is a magical experience. So to change everything, we need a total revamp. We need some education. Because you can't just have a band. A band is a business. And there's some sort of educational piece that you need to understand in terms of your return on investment, what you're putting out to get back, and operating things on a level that, you don't compromise your brand.
Yeah. I have to say that I hear you, but I'm going to stand on my experience with Miami Carnival, the carnival itself, right? Not necessarily from a artist perspective, right? But from Carnival, and it's the most fun that I have in North America, period. Right? Even if we can say it's not a carnival, it's a festival, whatever the case is, Miami Carnival to me is top tier.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is it's top tier. You talked about not feeling like you can say your truth, right? You said that
Yeah.
as we got into this Miami Carnival conversation. And I think that leads me to the Strpd Club,
Okay.
right? Not the strip club, but the Strpd Club,
Yeah.
Which is your latest production, your latest endeavor, your podcast. Let's talk about that.
Well, the Strip Club, Strpd Club, is just a platform that I created to share, be vulnerable, be a lot more open with feelings as a man, right? I've gone through a pretty rough 2 or 3 years personally. And during that time, I would call, or I would open up, which is not my style. But I found myself having conversations with other brothers, other friends of mine, about what I was going through, yourself included. And through those exchanges, realized that there was a common ground that we all shared as men, but we just never spoke about it until actually confronted by it. And a lot of the conversations that I've had with my friends got me through those tough times, right? Where I was really in a dark place. And I'm like, man, like I can't just be the only one feeling like this. And so I thought again, how could I make an impact? And that led me to create this platform called the Strip Club. And the name of it is obviously a play on the strip club where men love to go. And giving them an opportunity to come and kind of like listen to stories of other brothers that, may have gone through trials and tribulations in their life, and shared how they got through it, shared, what they were thinking, how they were feeling. And I really put myself out there in my first set of episodes where,
Season 1.
season 1 and season 2, where I shared a lot about my journey, my personal journey in the US, personally, in my relationships, getting divorced, raising 2 kids, and still being here and being able to talk about it is a blessing.
Some people would say, and I've heard, that it's too much, right? Too much of the business, personal business that you've put out there, right? Would you say that is the problem? That is part of the problem, where we think that we should be silent and deal with our problems silently and suffer.
Well, I think there's nothing that is, as you see in reality TV, in social media. I don't think anything is private again, right? What I have chose to do is be honest about what I'm sharing, and not package it in a way that everything seems perfect, and that might be uncomfortable for others, and it's a risk, a chance that I'm willing to take, because I feel ultimately the end result is that we're going to have people that are a little bit more open to sharing how they feel. And I think the world's going to be a better place. When I started off this podcast, I said somebody that has found his purpose. And I honestly feel through all of my accolades, all of the businesses and brands that I've worked with, built, all of my contributions over the last 20 plus years in the US, I think this particular one is one of my most significant. And I feel that way. Mm-hmm. Whereas I didn't feel like how I feel now with everything else that I've done. This is coming from a real pure place. Mm-hmm. A place where I'm actually trying to help others from what I have gone through. And if someone feels that it's too much, it's something that I urge them to look inside and question themselves as to why they are so uncomfortable with addressing a truth that obviously they're living. But for me, it's something that I'm going to continue. I have been contacted by a number of, and the funny thing about it, when I post stuff, women comment and men reach out to me. So even in the social media space, women are more vocal mm-hmm. in terms of, oh, that resonates with me. Oh my gosh, I'm going to share this with my husband. But who is reaching out to me on text and sending me a message in DM or sending me a voice note is men. Mm-hmm. But they wouldn't come out in public and show that, hey, I'm dealing with this too. But they're reaching out to me. So that gives me the drive to continue. Because I know if they are reaching out, and these are people that I wouldn't think reach out, if they are reaching out, that means that they have other people that are listening, that it is resonating with them. And I am not looking for public validation for my story. I am just trying to evoke conversation, dialogue in the house between you and your significant other. Because I think if more women listen to the podcast, they will have a better understanding of some of the challenges that men face on a daily basis in dealing with day-to-day life. And ask questions.
Is this podcast about men's mental health, or is it beyond that?
It's beyond that. It's beyond mental. It's beyond men's mental health. We talk about everything, but I felt that in order to start the podcast, I needed to show what vulnerability looked like from a man's perspective. Mm-hmm. And so the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, was myself. right? And I put myself and, as you would refer to, my business out there. I wouldn't say it's really my business unless you know me personally. You would say, but yeah, I know he was going through some stuff. But overall, I
Yeah, but
think
you say like I was going through this. Like this is your business. Like I don't need to know. If you watch a minute, you'd be like, oh shit.
yeah, but it's also a general narrative behind it
Yeah.
in terms of what you can extract from it, and I'm hoping that wives can go and ask their husbands, like, am I can I do something better? Am I being as supportive as I can be? Are you happy? Because we don't get asked those things. And even if we are asked those things, it's not even done in a way that they are even looking for a response. It's like more patronizing than anything else. But if they realize that we go through the same things that they go through, I think it would make for a healthier relationship, a better family unit, which translates into a better relationship with the kids. Kids are going to be set up to have better relationships when they get into relationships. And this is about changing generations. So nobody wanted to hear about the internet when it came up. Nobody wanted to hear about social media when it came up. And I think this is just another one of those topics that people are just uncomfortable with in the beginning, but it will soon become very much, normal. And I intend to stick with it and normalize, men sharing how they feel. I know that you are a one to not, you are a man's man.
I am.
But that I'm not saying that I'm not a man's man for sharing.
Yeah.
Because I'm a man's man. And it takes a lot more for me to come out and admit where I was wrong, what I could have done better, what I wish I could have said, what I should have said, and how it impacted me from being raised to present day. And peeling back my layers, as the word stripped refers to, I have been able to be a lot more honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me a better person.
Yeah.
If I'm a better person, then I'm a better person. I'm a better friend to you.
Better dad.
A better father.
Yeah.
And all around better light in the world.
Yeah.
So, and that's my passion.
Hey, sir.
Whoa.
Before we go, what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
Well, I'm writing a children's book.
Okay.
I'm actually writing 2 books. I'm just finishing up the children's book. When that's launched, it's about culture. And the next book that I'm currently in the works and in writing is Behind the Festival.
Okay.
Which speaks about my intimate relationship with Miami Carnival. It's fictional.
Names, places.
It's fictional.
Yeah.
But it speaks about my journey, in coming into an event where, we started on the streets and now we're in a park. And it's this confinement that I feel, in dealing with my life as an event producer,
Okay.
a cultural ambassador, and a promoter of Brand Caribbean.
Okay. So I hope that when we launch these books, what they do is a place where you come back and
I have to
share.
I have to.
Some of those products and so we can help support, because I think it's important that I
if I'm not stoned at Miami Carnival 2025,
yeah, you might be
driving
might
around
be.
in my golf cart.
you
Yeah,
know,
what you doing here? It's not a carnival.
this is not a carnival. I thought you said.
Yeah, I thought you said it was a carnival.
Yeah. No, but I think that part of the reason why we have the podcast, what they do, is to highlight some of the things that we're doing in the community, right? It tends to revolve around soca and the business of soca music, because I obviously sing soca, and my friends and people who I know is in the business. But I think outside of the music, there are other cultural aspects that doesn't get highlighted as much and don't have that space to be spoken about. And so I think that we are fortunate to have you here today to speak on some of those things, some of the things that you've done historically, and some of the things that you are going to do in the future. I do want to also touch before we go that you just recently was awarded, right? What was the name of that award?
Oh, the businessman of the year.
Businessman of the Year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that needs to be applauded because, and celebrated, because I don't think that we have enough awards for people who are doing things within the community, especially in this diaspora and Black community, to be specific,
It was an honor to receive it, but then again, I've reached a point in my life. Shout out to Legacy Magazine, Dexter Bridgman, and the whole crew, to be recognized. But I'm at a point in my life where, I would prefer to not be awarded, and just to be more supported in moving the culture forward, moving the mission
Yeah,
forward.
but it does help to move the agenda, and it helped. You see, when I retired from the service, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation and what was taught to me about a retirement ceremony, military retirement ceremony, and its importance. The ceremony is not about the individual retiring, but it's about those who see the individual retiring, who's
Okay.
going through the ceremony, the ups and the downs, and the celebration of your service, and in hopes of them too one day fulfilling that role,
Okay.
right? And that being the key, not necessarily being about you retiring, but about your junior enlisted person, right, or your young airman or your young lieutenant, right, and wanting to go through the process and to one day
Get there.
get there,
Yeah.
right? And so your award is for you, but it's really for the young Asa who's doing some work and sees some things within the culture that they too can push forward, right? And that might be some motivation for them that they too will eventually be recognized
Yeah.
for the work that they've done, right? And I think that's important.
Okay.
So
you
standing up
that.
there and receiving your award is important. It's
I
not
give you that.
necessarily just about you.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Mad. Asa,
Sizwe,
thanks for coming, man.
man, it's been a long drive and
Yeah.
a long night. A long drive and a long night. But
Man.
it's worth it.
Yeah, man.
Amen.
Once again, it's your friend, Sizwe. I just want to say thank you, Asa. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you've done, what you continue to do. You're a major part of my life. And without you, there are things that I just couldn't do. And this podcast being one of them. Right? So once again, what they do.